I started out several years ago and going through doing some work on the Phineas line, and I ended up going into the FamilySearch and using an ancestral quest tool that I have to download the descendants of the first of his Cook ancestors across the ocean from England. And when I got that done, I had a rather large file, rather substantial. He's got a lot of descendants that are currently on Family Tree. I went back and did the same thing for each of the four wives. I'd start with the earliest known ancestor. Most of them, the earliest ancestor comes into the U.S., I'm going to say 1640, 1650, 1660, somewhere around that time period. There's an exception for the Paulson family. They came over after Johanna joined the church. And so on that particular family, I went back to the earliest known direct Paulson ancestor and downloaded all the descendants I could find there. And after I downloaded these, I updated the LDS ordinance work and ran a query to find out which ones were missing ordinance work. And it was a rather substantial file. We presented it to the organization and with the idea that if we'd like, ought to have an effort to complete the research, do the temple ordinances with these ancestors. And Wendy has been absolutely our star and done an amazing job in researching these family lines. Early last year, I updated the file after we'd worked on it for a couple of years. And I was under the impression, mistakenly so, that after we'd worked a couple of years, we'd have fewer missing links than we did originally. Well, that wasn't what happened. It actually increased a little bit because everybody is building the tree, and some folks are also doing temple ordinances. It looks like the growth of the tree is faster than the ordinance work being done. But that was about a year ago. We went in and updated it, and over the last year, if we look at endowments, the group that we were targeting, there were several thousand endowments that have been completed, but that's less than 5% of the total that we were looking at. So we got a lot done, but there's a lot more to do. If you look at the baptismal side of the equation, it's a much more optimistic story, because on the baptismal side of the equation, roughly 1/3 of the work that needed to be done a year ago has been done. And that is impressive. I should say 1/3. No, I picked looking at the wrong numbers here, but it's not 1/3, it's about 1/6. So if the family, our efforts and those of others on the tree continues at the same rate, the currently known baptisms would be done in about 6 years. Now, you go in and look at sealings, and the progress in completing sealing work is similar to the progress in completing baptisms, 5 or 6 years, and the currently known work would be done. But on the endowment side, we got a little more work to do. And that's, I think, understandable, because it takes longer to do an endowment than it does to do a baptism. And it's a little more difficult to complete that. But it's interesting. We're making some good progress. The group that we're dealing with is so large that we won't run out of work in the next few years. In fact, I'm pretty sure that we won't run out of work in our lifetime, because it seems like, and we found out the first 2 years after we'd worked the tree for a couple of years, we ended up with more to do than we had when we started. I've done a little bit of statistical analysis on the Cook branch of the tree, and my estimate is that it's at best 50% complete, which tells me there's a lot yet left to be added to the tree. And the church is making so many more records available over the last few years that we have a lot that we can do. So with that all in mind, Wendy has been invaluable, and I hope she will continue the work. I hope others will come in so that the burden isn't primarily on her shoulders, that there's others that would be interested in doing the research. But we also have an important need to encourage family members to pick up this completed research, go to the temple and do the temple ordinances. But it's been a fascinating project to work with. And
he's been so knowledgeable about how to get that list. So thank you. I think most of us probably assumed our direct line is all done. There's nothing more we can do, which probably is pretty accurate for our direct ones who are members of the church. But there are thousands of their cousins, brothers and sisters who are still our relatives. And that is the list that we are working on, as Brent explained. And they're waiting. They're not just names. They are people that are waiting for us. So I am going to move quickly tonight. I'm hoping that all of you are on, you know enough about FamilySearch that you are members of FamilySearch. You've done some work with it, because we are going to move quickly. You don't need to take notes. In fact, I've made up a sheet of notes that Marcia can send you. It will also be on our website of the things that you're likely to find. But we're going to look at 9 different examples that you will find as you do this work. So as I said, always start with a prayer so that you can have the Spirit to guide you in this work. Now I'm going to share my screen, and I have on my desktop the list up here of Cook family names that Brent prepared for me. So I'm going to go to these quickly, hopefully. And I have gone through already and gotten some examples for us. The first one we're going to do is just an easy one. You're going to find that there are a lot of easy ones. We're going to do Nellie Young. And I put my cursor right there, and I just copy that ID number. And then I go down and I'm going to open up my FamilySearch. And I'm quite sure all of you know how to do this, but I thought I'd walk you through it just in case. Sign in. And sign in here. I've got to move our little thing down here. And now I've got FamilySearch open. I've got my name that I copied. I'm going to go to find. And you can find people either by the ID number or by the name. But I know the ID number, so I'm going to just paste that right there. And let's find Nellie, and there she is. You go to the person, and as you can see, everything is green. I'm going to bring that person, her person up with her details. And there are going to be 3 different colors you'll work with. The green is going to be the vast majority, which means they're just waiting for us. It's such an easy way to do it. But there will be some yellows that we'll talk about, and there will be a black. We'll do that too. So Nellie is ready. She's got one source. We've got a birth, and we've got where she was born. We don't know of her death, but this is not deep research. We are just asking that you find one birth or death or marriage date, and you have to have at least one place to be able to submit the work. And we have that. So for Nellie, I'm going to click on ordinances. I'm going to request those ordinances and request again. And you come down here and read all this. Got to get our little thing. Whoop. Going to move this up so I can see that. Church policy. Okay, I've got to, sorry, this there, so I can accept it. You're going to accept it. And then you go to share. Now you can do this yourself. If you want to take Nellie or whoever you do yourself, you don't need to share it. I am going to share her with the Cook family. And you can see, you can share it with the temple. You can share it with a group. You could share it with a member of your family. But I'm going to share it with the group, the Cook family group. This little bar is kind of in my way. And I'm just going to go like that and share it with the group. Now, Nellie will be there waiting for somebody to take her to do the baptisms, etc. If you do want to do the name yourself, I like to look at the relationship so I can feel that I really know who they are. And there is my relationship. I go up through my mother. Here's Phineas, is my great-grandfather. She is my 7th cousin once removed. That, I figure, is not that far away. I'm going to enjoy Nellie. So that is how you do it. Any questions about a very easy first process?
Just one comment there, Wendy.
Yes, please.
When you saved that and showed us the reservation and assignment to the group, it was
Yes,
dated March 4th.
I didn't see that, I guess.
We'll look at the screen
Oh,
right
shared
now,
with the group, March 4th.
which is tomorrow.
Oh,
Family
that's interesting. Yeah.
Dates these based on Greenwich Mean Time, and it is already past midnight in London, England.
Oh,
Greenwich.
thank you, Brent. Interesting.
FYI.
Okay. Well, now I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to shrink that down and I'm going to write right here that I submitted that name. So I won't do her anymore. Now we're going to go to another one. I'm going to go to Patricia Young right here. I'm going to do the same thing and you're going to see something different this time. Then I go back to here. I'm going to, again, find and paste that in and go search. And now you're going to see something different. When I click on her, do you notice something different about the green? What does this one have the other one didn't have?
It's got a little icon right up in the upper right-hand corner of the
Yep.
circle.
Which means somebody else has reserved that. Somebody else is working on Patricia. So we're going to leave that alone. If
Now,
it has the little clock. Excuse me, Brent?
Have they reserved all of the ordinances?
It looks like they have, except the one to their spouse, which whether she wasn't married or whatever, they've reserved everything. And so I just shrink that down. I say that's in process. And I'm going to let whoever is doing that have the joy of doing Patricia. Now, we're going to go to Robert Lewis down here and copy him, and you'll see a different thing again. Find Robert Lewis. Again, we just paste that in. You can see you can work through quite a few names pretty fast. In Robert's case, yes, there are 2 clocks saying somebody's working on that, and then there's a couple that are still green. Actually, this says green here. But the endowment was reserved in February, and this one, the sealing to spouse, you need a permission. In other words, I am going to leave this one alone too. I figure somebody here, probably in Montreal, is busy and is working on this. Again, if you want to see your relationship to Robert, it's kind of fun to look. And then I like, if I'm going to take that card, I like to put that relationship. He's my 8th cousin. It's kind of nice to know that. So, but again, I do not want to step on anybody's toes, and there's plenty that we can do that we're not interfering with somebody else. So we're going to now go.
Wendy,
Yes.
you made a comment that you put a note on that he's your 9th cousin. I've been doing that too, but we got one brother here in our Dallas temple that I'm going to say sets the bar a little higher. On his cards, they're usually loaded with information about the individual on the back of the card. And I asked him once, why do you do all that? That takes a lot of work. He says, well, he says, I want to have an opportunity while I'm doing that endowment to look at his situation, his family, his children, his parents, and think about him and the family in his setting while I'm doing that endowment for him. I thought, that's commendable.
Which is sweet. I forgot to say one thing on Robert. I'm going to try to go back. Hopefully he's still here, because there is something interesting. The reason this permission is required, and you will find that sometime, is because it will say right here, this person was born within the last 110 years. Permission from a close relative is required. And you can say you have permission, I don't have permission, and then you can request it. But what I should have put over here on my list, I said it was in process, which it is, but come on. Don't want to lose my list. Where did my list go, Brent? There.
You got to reselect your family search, I think. It's minimized, I think, on your computer, it looks like, Wendy.
My family, but I'm not looking at family search. I want to go back to the list.
Oh, the spreadsheet. It's probably also minimized. I'll bet it's still open, but probably minimized.
And how do I find that, Brent?
Go to Excel if you can find the Excel icon somewhere on your desktop.
See, this is why we need somebody like Brent. Okay, actually, what I'm going to put here as an example is 100-year rule, because you'll find some that you can't do any of the work. But that lets me know, again, we can't do that for a while at least. Now, we're going to go to
Wendy.
Yes.
One comment here,
Please.
we have so much to do. We don't normally want to take time to worry about getting permission.
Exactly.
But if you're ever impressed, you ought to go get permission, then do a little more homework and go do it.
Yes. Okay, here we are going to go to this one, and you're going to find somebody who it will say, this is another thing you're going to find, actually not infrequently, as we go up here to, I've got to go back to find, family tree find, right there. On this example, I'll show you what you find. He has been merged. And since he's been merged, he no longer exists. I mean, one of those exists, but I am on our record, we can just put merged, because that is, whoop. Again, look how many we're doing quickly. Now, we're going to do one that is going to have a different thing. This is Mrs. Ellen Young, which, why would she have the Mrs. there? Who can tell me? I mean, you know this. Somebody?
Suppose they don't know her actual name, and she's
Yes. They know her husband's name, who is actually Forrest Young. But when the Cooks did this part, but voila, look what we find. Her name. So somebody has done other work on her and probably merged her. You can see we've got the little clock. We're going to look at her though, because something else, at least yesterday when I looked at this, maybe somebody's worked on this since yesterday, there was something else that I'm going to go to her details. Okay, there's the possible duplicate. That's what it'll show you. So let's look at that possible duplicate. You just click on it, and we're going to review that to see if maybe this isn't the same person. Ellen F. Young and Ellen B.B. Young, are they the same person? So we go down here. There's not a lot of information on the one side. It does have a birth date, but this one is 1844. This one is 1884. That's quite a difference. We keep going down. Let's see. The husband is the same, it looks like. And yes, one child is the same. Now, this is again why I always start with prayer. What do you think? Is that the same person? Even though these dates are 40 years apart. Do you think somebody just typed that in wrong?
I do.
Possibly. I think we should try to get another source.
Oh, good. That's my son. He's smart. Okay. I'm going to go back here and let's try to get a different source, which I go, well, and look, they also list other sources. Let's look at some of these sources first. You can go to Ancestry, and I'll show you that in a minute. But since we already have a census record, let's take a look at this one and see what when she was born according to this. Now this says 1884, which is interesting. Let's take a look at this one right here, another census. This one was in 1905. This is in 1940. Birth date, 1886. Not the same, but do we always remember exactly how old we
were? 2 years is not bad from a census record.
2 years is not bad. It kind of bothers me that it would be a lot more than that, but 2 years is not bad. Let's see. What do you people think? Now look, they've got the sources and they probably have those two sources. Let's look at these sources that they've already listed. Okay, they've got the 1921, they've got the 1900 and the 1930 census. So somebody did good research. And again, they're saying she was born in 1884. Well, and there's Gordon, the child, plus these other children.
I think you go with the source.
Yeah.
So we all agree that this is probably our same person. So we can go back here and probably instead of writing in 1884, somebody just put the wrong date in that. So I like this one right here. And I'm going to say yes. Continue to merge that, and I'm going to say continue, and then it's going to say why, and in this case I'm just going to say same person, and I'm going to finish that merge.
Now, Wendy, are we concerned that
Yes.
she married somebody 40 years younger than her?
Oh, good point. Was that what we saw?
And a son was born.
Was that what we saw?
Forrest Young. If Forrest's birthday is right, he was born in 44.
Well, that was a very good point.
And the child is born, she would have been 6. She would be a good age for those children.
You know, the record we're looking at could well be a granddaughter versus the same person.
It could be, and maybe we need to do more research on this. Maybe we just hold on to this one. This is a good example. like I say, we are not trying to do deep research on this project. But I am going to just, for my own comfort, shrink this down and kind of say, I'm going to say more research needed. And I'm going to go back to this and check the husband out. Just for my peace of mind.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look at Aura. This is another situation that that we want to look at. Again, we just copy that.
You're
We
on the
go, oh, sorry. Yeah. Go back here to find. And well, I didn't pick that up good enough, obviously.
There, now you're copied.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Patricia, again, we have the same thing. Somebody's working on that one. Oh, I'm sorry, I copied the wrong one. I'm gonna say, we've already done that.
I'm gonna say, sorry.
Let's pick this one up. I tried to get examples of different things that you were going to be likely to, come on, find.
You know, while you're loading that up, Wendy, I
Yeah.
went through this just recently on one family that this fellow had 5 wives. 3 of them had 0 documentation and very sparse information. And from the attached sources, I could tell that he had 2 wives and they were well documented. And the other 3, I shouldn't say had no document, had some documentation that did not match the record. And I always watch that when there's documents, I always want to take a look and say, okay, is this document attached to the right guy? And I knew the researcher that had done that, and he typically does very, very good research. This one, he had hosed it pretty bad. And I was about ready to reach out to him and say, hey, would you take a look at this one? It just doesn't look right. But then I went through the changes tab and found out there had been a merger of 2 men as husband. The 2 men didn't have the same name. They didn't have the same birth dates. They didn't have the same anything. When I unmerged those 2, it fixed everything.
Good. Well, as you can tell, Brent is a genealogist and he's great. Okay, with Aura, what do you see? We don't have the green anymore. We've got a little blue one. What does that mean? Anyone?
Work in
Doesn't it mean
progress.
I'll show
There
you. It's all
already
done. Yep.
Well-
She is completed. So right here, you can just say
Now,
complete.
wait a minute if you can on
Yes,
that
I'll
blue.
go back. Yeah.
If it's all done, it'll be gray, won't it? Now, you got gray at the top, but look at the endowment. It's still blue.
Okay, so these have been, you're right. These have been done. These are in progress. But again, somebody has
Right.
reserved those. They're
Yep.
they're in the
Let 'em
system. So we're not going to worry about her. I'm going to now switch over to because I didn't find them right on this little list. I'm going to switch over to another name which has something which needs a little bit more research. And since I know what that is, I'm just going to go over here to find again, and I'll make this bigger so you can see it. I'm going to just write this in, and if you just put your capital on, you don't need to, if you're typing a number in, you don't need to put the hyphen, you don't need to put even capitalize, really, that'll go in for, well, sorry.
It auto formats for you.
I thought I was doing that, but I'm gonna do it again. G, D, L, V, 6, M, J. Okay. Here we have Harvey Allen Williams. And when we look at him, he's got 13 sources, but we also have a couple more of these research helps. And I figure, let's look at those. It's always nice to add something in this, if we can find it over here. And FamilySearch is doing such a good job for us. Come on, come up. Why is it not pulling up?
Double click it if you can.
Yeah, I've been doing that. Huh. Well,
You can see the record on the side, but
yeah.
hit.
Can you see it on the side? I
Yeah.
can't see, because I'm seeing all of you. There it is. I'm sorry. It's because I'm seeing all of you. Okay. But now I don't see it anymore. I saw it for a moment.
Yeah, go click it again. There, he's back. Oops.
I don't know why.
Hit the view record on the side. Can you?
Where are you seeing that?
Down at the bottom of the screen.
Maybe your
Okay.
screen's showing it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to pull this up.
Bottom
There
of the screen,
it
over
is.
to the right.
Okay, okay. But it won't hold. Goodness. Can the rest of you see that? There it is. I'm gonna just hold my finger on it. Again, look at the names. He's got an alias, Royce V. Williams. That doesn't look anything like the one over here. Oh, if I leave go of my this, it's not going to, there it is. Nope, I'm sorry. In cases like this though, we've got 13 sources. It is green. You can go ahead and do it, but if you want to know more, then we go to Ancestry, and I'm going to try to go to Ancestry. It does make you leave FamilySearch, but let's go over here to Ancestry and just check if he had an alias, which is kind of interesting. Here's Harvey Allen, and he's got his parents, he's got a child, his spouse. Let's take a look at that and see what you think. Oh, I do not want that. It's got his birth. It's got a lot of facts about him. It's got a life story. I'm going to go back though, because I want to show you here we go. I want to show you a record and how we add a source into our over there. Let's see. Do you think this one looks like the same person? That's not spelled the same. He was born in 1899. Ours was born in 1899. This one was born in Eastland, Texas. We've got Wilson, Texas. I don't know Texas that well, but that we've got a death date of 1960. Let's look here. Since this is a death record, again, same date for a death record. So we can say, yes, this is a good record. And I want to copy that. I'm just Well, what I'm gonna do is, I don't want this stuff on the side though.
You know, Wendy, while you're copying there, it's
Yeah.
always great when you get more sources.
There we go.
But I want to check every one of them to make sure they're attached to the proper record and to make sure that they're not just duplicates. You can have one source duplicated
Right.
4 or 5 times. It makes it look like they have a lot when they really don't.
Okay, I'm going to go back over here. That's a good point, Brent. We should look and see if that death record is there. There is a death index. There's another death record there. Well, we can assume that he probably has plenty of evidence. He does, more than we probably need, but I did want to show you how to add a source. And maybe this isn't the one to do it on, but you would click add a source. And you'd get a new source. And then I would put what I copied down here in notes. I won't do it because you're right, we probably have it already. You would put where you got it on Ancestry. You would go back and copy the URL at the top of the page. You would put the title, which again is the Oklahoma U.S. city marriages, deaths, and you just copy that title and the date, which would be 1960. And then at the bottom, it says the reason to do it, and you click these tabs. It showed a birth, it showed a name, it showed a sex, it showed the death and the burial. So that would be an important one to put in there. Like I say, we're only asking that you have one, either a birth, a marriage, or a death. And he has plenty of evidence. So I'm going to go ahead and select him and request. Go down here to the bottom and accept the church policy if I can get, I have to move that up. Accept. And I am going to share with the group the Cook family. And share again. Okay, any questions thus far? We are going fast, but I wanted you to.
You may want to, maybe everyone knows, but it might be interesting to know how to get to the Cook list on here when you're ready to do the temple names, if people don't know.
Yeah,
Oh.
here I have a link. I'm going to put a link in the chat to the Cook family group. So if you're not already in that link, feel free to click on that link and you can get in the group.
But that is a good point. When you go to the temple, what I do, and my husband and I try to go every week and spend an afternoon or a morning. You go to this one that says temple, then you can go to your reservations, or you can go to family groups, and then you can click the Cook family there. And Brent taught me something, because sometimes I'd go in and I'd see all these names and think, oh, I can just pick up this, this, and this. But when I went to try to print it, it said no, because other ordinances hadn't been done first. You go to your filter, and then you go to perform next, and that eliminates the problems. If you're not going to do the baptisms and you're not going to do the initiatories, you only want, for example, a sealing to a spouse. It only leaves those who are sealings to spouse. Okay.
I love that rule.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go back and look at one now that is going to have a different problem. Well, I say problem, it's going to be different. And I'm going to, again, rather than go to my list, I've already looked it up on my list, and I need to find this person with the number, because but, and he is, this is, oh. Yes, please ask questions or talk while I'm putting this in. I'm sorry, it takes just a moment to.
Well, while you're working that, another way that you can get ordinances, if you've got some reservations you've made, you're part of the Cook family group and there's work out there to be done. If you use Temple Ready or Ordinance Ready, it will preferentially look what you have reserved first. And if you got something, it gives it to you. If not, it goes next to the groups you belong to. And if they have work that needs to be done, it will give you those.
But I have to tell you, I had to take my husband's groups off because it goes first to my husband. And I wanted to do the cooks and the whitings. So it will, I mean, for my children, my daughter said, well, I'd like to do some of those names, but it always goes to dad's first. So it kind of does go the patriarchal thing, which is okay. Now, if you look at Oran, you're going to see a yellow. What does it mean? We're going to go up here to details so we see why do you think that is yellow? Anybody have a clue?
It means we need Wendy to do a little more research for us.
We've got a birth date, we've got a death date, but there's no location, and you have to have at least one location. So, and then I look over here and there's no sources, but there is Find a Grave. I love the Find the Grave ones because they tell you a location, and sometimes they tell you did do the death date, but sometimes you actually can get a birth too. So this says it was in Oneida, New York, McConnellsville. I'm going to copy that.
It's a different death date, isn't it? Nope, same.
Oh, it's the same one. So then I'm going to go over to this pencil and I'm going to paste that in. And then it wants you to use their form. So that'll usually pop up. For some reason, this one, I want this one. So then it corrected it. Then I'm going to say the reason is Find a Grave.
Wendy, while you're typing, I'll find a great. Well,
oh, Gary. Oh, well, and then I'm going to save it. Then I'm going to hit F5 and look, it suddenly is green. All it needed is one place and it's green. And I can, that source, the source should have attached, sorry.
Just do a screen refresh and then it'll show the source.
Yeah, and it was I thought that would automatically go over there too. When it turned green, it should have.
Yeah, just
over.
Give it a time, refresh the screen, you're good to go.
Okay, and then I'll go back. I'll have to go to his number and do that afterwards because I don't want to take your time doing that. But now we can put submitted because he turned green and we submitted him, didn't we? Did we do that? Did I do that too fast? Come on.
I check that when you get back there. I don't think you got him submitted, but.
Oh, well, that would be terrible. We've got to submit him after all that.
Okay, don't get his hopes up and then overlook him, right?
But look, that source still did not attach, Brent, which should have.
Scroll at the top and see if it's still showing the hint on that source.
I did not see that it was. No. Do you think it's just taking its time? I mean, I can go.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I can go into Ancestry and put it in myself, but I think it should have automatically done that. So now we're going to go click on him, request. request. Go down here. Oh, sorry, I have to always move our little black. Do that. And share with the group. Okay, there's another one shared. All right. One more I'm going to show you, and then I hope you've got some questions or some things, but like I say, this is just kind of giving you a vision and a very brief way to do it. And I'm going to type a number in here, because this is another one that is a little different that you may find. Okay. I have, when I'm working on these, okay, again, we have yellow, which means there's, for some reason, and yet when you look at this person, 22 sources. They've got the place, the date, well before the 110-year rule of death and birth. You go down here, they've got parents, they've got children, they've got pictures. But it is not, when you click on this, these people, this person's ordinance status is not available. What you have to do is contact family support, and they have to clear it. And so you can go up to your question mark right up here. Move that over so you can see it. And then you go down to contact us. And as you can see, it's all over the world, but we obviously are the United States. And you can call or you can text them. And then you need to give them some information and they will walk you through that. At this present time, I have got 4 names, including this one that I need to call about tomorrow, that I've found that for some reason need to be cleared with them. Once in a while, if it's a famous person, they're not going to let you do it. If it's a pilgrim, they have problems with those kinds of things unless they clear it. But it doesn't happen terribly often, but it happens often enough. You need to know about it. Okay, with that said, let's just,
Wendy,
yes, please.
how often do the names get cleared? Have you done enough to have a feel for that?
Yes, and they're usually cleared within 1 or 2 weeks. And then you'll get an email back from the church saying that you can do the work, that they're cleared.
Yeah.
It does happen. Okay, just I want to take you one more time through this. Let's do Martha, and then and we'll just see what Martha's situation is now that you're all experts at knowing what you might find. We'll get out of, oh, you know what I've done? I'm on Ancestry. It kicked me off of FamilySearch. So now I've got to go back to FamilySearch. And now I'll go to Find, and we will put in Martha. And let's see what is happening with Martha. She's ready. There is a little clock on her ceiling to spouse, but the rest of these, for some reason, nobody has picked up. And
Wendy, probably somebody was working on the spouse's line, not
exactly.
line.
Yeah, exactly. But she's got 15 sources. She's got everything we need there. So we want to get her work done. We're going to request her. Now, oh, look what we found. It says there's a possible duplicate on her husband, not on her, but so I'm going to click that. That might explain our problem. Possible duplicate. Let's review that merge and see what we think. Okay, we've got a William H. Washburn and a William Wallace Washburn. They both were married to a Martha. Oh, and this one has a child named William H. This one has a child named William Wallace. What do you think, people?
You're making it look like two different people. How about locations? Are they in the same town?
There's no location on this one side.
It looks like one of them might just be the son, like it may be incorrectly linked to the son.
Mm-hmm. This was added in 2019. This was in 2012. This definitely looks like it is has been better researched. What do we think? Should we say it is a match or not a match?
You know, Wendy, what I'd want to do is print those family group records, take a real careful look at all the data posted for everybody in both families before I concluded that I ought to do a merge.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's different enough. And without any places, I just do not want to merge somebody that isn't right. Like I say, this one looks so well researched. So
now, one other thought that I would look at
yes,
is when you're going through the records, if you got the full name Wallace, that's better than an initial.
yes,
We had an H and a W on a lot of handwriting. H's and W's can look an awful lot alike.
yeah. So for our purposes, with our thousands of names, I'm not going to worry about this one right now. I
And
think
Wendy, if we
yes.
went to merge them, we'd want to merge both Wallace and Martha's, right? I mean, they're probably not the same. It probably didn't have, if we merged just Wallace, he'd end up with two wives named Martha, right?
That's a very good question.
Because they were different Marthas. So we'd
Yeah.
probably want to
Yeah.
look at both of them first and see if
Yeah,
they wanted to merge and then merge him.
I think again, maybe we just want to spend a little more time if we want to bother with it at all, and we may say we're going to skip this for now and
You know,
let somebody else.
Marcia makes a good point. When you start a merge, typically you better be prepared to merge the whole family, not just an individual.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I just want our time is, we've got 4 minutes to go. I just want to leave you with my testimony that these are not just names and numbers. These are people, and they care, and they want to be found. They're waiting for us. So as we do this work, it is a sacred work, and we will be blessed as we go forward. It is not difficult, but it is it's thrilling, and you can't leave it alone once you start. So any of you who are so inclined, if you would like to get involved, we are happy to give you a list of, say, 10 or 15 names that you can start looking at and putting your name on. We'll put your name on rather, and then you can take these and do just what you've seen tonight. I just bear that testimony to you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thanks, Wendy. That was very well done. I'm impressed.
Now, Wendy, do you want to put your contact information in the chat? And if any of you
I
would
will.
like Wendy, contact Wendy via email and she will send you a portion of that list. She'll send you 10 cook names that you can then do this and go through and look at them on FamilySearch and see if there's some you can request.
And
And
I should also tell you that we have those divided up into the wives too. So if you want Howland names, if you want, I started first, since I'm from Johanna Paulson, I did those names first, and now I'm just working on the general cook names, but you're welcome to take one of the wives and do that. Brent has done a great job of dividing that up.
and we'd like to follow up,
Questions?
we'd like to follow up with another fireside after everyone gets a chance to try their hand at this list. And then Wendy can give us some more, what do you do if this and what do you do if this ideas. So
Well, if it's needed, or I'm just happy to work one-on-one with people too. If anybody just wants to contact me, we can just work one-on-one. Whatever is easiest for people.
You know, as I said before, Wendy has done an amazing job, and I hope a few of you would be willing to pitch in and do a little of the research. But I also hope all of us are willing to make sure that we, on a regular basis, go to the temple and do some of these ordinances.
Yes, I got a few requests from some of you to join the group. So if you want to click on that link, feel free. And anybody have any questions for Wendy about anything we've
Or
talked
Brent.
about tonight, or Brent?
We clicked on that.
I've got a question. I'm John in Sacramento.
Looks like you're at Arches.
Well, we're redoing our house, so you get to see our arches. But so I clicked on some names. In my last name's Perry, Parry, from Wales. They're John Perry, the first conductor of the temple choir. There is a relative, and Sherilyn's, my wife's great grandpa is Phineas Walcott Cook. So that's how. But my question is, I clicked on some people that were reserved, and it said I could unreserve them, and so I clicked on it, and I took them to the temple. I took their name to the temple and finished the ordinance on them. I didn't know you could do that.
Does that mean they were shared with the temple, Brent, when we
I have
see
no
that?
idea. I have no idea. They were just in my tree,
Mhm.
and it said it was reserved, and I says, well, but it had a little box there, and it says unreserve it. So I did. But it was still supposed to be reserved for another couple of months.
Now,
And,
this name reserved by someone else.
yeah, well, I guess so. That's the only
I was
thing
going to say, my understanding is that you can only unreserve reservations that you have made.
Yeah,
And
no, yeah, these weren't mine. It was just an odd thing because I've got some reserved myself, and they stay in for 2 years, then they drop out.
right. Well,
So
the FamilySearch system is very good, but it's far from perfect. So there may be perfection there that needs a little tune-up.
well, it's interesting because we got the work done for him.
I do encourage people not to reserve things before like a day before you go to the temple is when I print up, and my husband and I usually do the initiatory session and sealings all together, just spend that much time. But I like to print them just before we go because it just doesn't reserve them for months and weeks in advance when
Right.
they're tied up.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
Very good point, Wendy. In fact, here at the Dallas Temple, I've done research, and of the ordinances done, patron submitted in our temple, if the card is printed within 30 days of the ordinance, there are very few duplicates. If it's over 1 year, it's about 30% duplicate.
Wow. Good point.
Yeah. So,
And there's no reason to print cards in advance anymore. If you're willing to share electronically, you can share with the temple. If you can't get the work done quickly yourself, you can share with other family members, set up groups like we have. There's just no reason to have stacks of printed cards around, but some patrons, some members of the church haven't figured that out yet.
Well, as you do this work, you can see why it's going to take 1,000 years to straighten some of this out.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's good. It's good work. We love
Yeah,
doing it.
thank
We
you.
work in the Sacramento Temple on every Tuesday.
You know, I know talking with Marcia, she's a little sensitive about big numbers. But
Yeah.
I told you earlier that my estimate is the Cook file is at best 50% complete.
Wow.
And if we count Phineas plus his 4 wives, that's over 2 million names already on the file.
Right. Right.
So
Well,
if we find the other 50% and add them to the file, we're going to keep several temples busy for a few years.
Yeah. Well, Brent, interestingly enough, we have a Brent Hale. He's our executive secretary in our ward.
Well, great.
Same spelled just like, he doesn't look like you, but the spelling's the same.
He's probably a relative.
He probably is. Well, nice job tonight, folks.
thank you so much for getting on, and good luck. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, keep in touch with us and with Wendy if you want to work on her list, the cook list, and if you would like us to do more firesides. Wendy's got more, things to show you, and if you're interested or you have family members interested, let us know.
Well,
So Wendy, did
my
you
wife-
put your? Wendy,
I
was
did
gonna
put
say
it
my-
on.
okay.
Hopefully you can see it somewhere. But
Yeah, well, we saw your connection, but I was going to say we watched Roots Tech the last 3 days, and man, it's incredible. I don't know if any of you saw that.
Yeah, I saw a little, but I want to watch some more.
Oh, wow. There's
Lord
so
is
much,
speeding up his work.
but it's great stuff.
Well,
Wendy
thank you,
W.
everyone.
Bentley, right, Wendy?
Yes. And my phone number's there and my email, so you can contact me either way. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody. Thanks for getting on. Have a good
Good
night.
night.
Have a great night.
I have that. I didn't see the phone.
I didn't see the phone number either.